So what
What's
CEUs have you been taking lately?
I haven't been taking any of those.
I have a renewal due, so I got like 4 more hours I
Uh,
have to come up with.
yeah, I did that last year.
Oh, okay. Oh, you renew in the odd years, not the even
I
years?
I guess so, yeah. They
Okay.
overlap or they yeah. Which ones have you done recently?
So I unfortunately, I found out that the one I'm doing right now doesn't actually have CEUs, but it still is really fascinating. It's called, the Felt Sense Polyvagal Model.
Oh, yeah, weren't you gonna do some intervention on me?
Oh, focusing, yeah. Do you wanna be focused on?
You know, I would love to be focused on. I wanna feel important this morning.
Okay, alright, stand by. Let me do this. This might help you with your whole dilemma and the
My
feelings that
accountant
you have.
dilemma my rage towards my incompetent accountant.
Yes, to their rage. This is gonna help you with your rage. Okay.
Good, then
Yes, okay.
we'll send her the video.
And then charger. Okay. So the felt sense polyvagal model is built off of Gene Gendlin's work from the 70s and 80s on this meditation called focusing. It's something he developed. But it's a somatic therapy to help people have a better understanding of the meaning behind their body sensations and their stress responses. So it's not that you're just walking around with an embodied sense of rage or stress, but now you can make meaning of it and then hopefully I don't know, I might promote more insight onto what as to what to do with that.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, find your feet on your floor and see if you can just kind of take notice of how your body's feeling right now. So, if you were to describe how your body's feeling right now, like what
Should I have my
stress
eyes closed?
response would you say you're having, if any? Like, would you say, like, broadly speaking, would you be in like the green zone, the ventral vagal zone where you feel safe and connected, yellow kind of fight or flight, or the red zone where you feel slightly dissociative?
That'd be pretty funny if I secretly was in the red zone right now. Well,
I mean, part of you could be kind of in the red zone.
based on me ranting about my accountant fucking over my cash flow, I feel like I'm in the yellow.
Yeah, okay, so fight or flight, definitely. Okay, so now what I want you to do is if you feel safe, close your eyes, okay? And I want you to think about, like, all of your rage towards your accountant, and then as well as all the other things that are going on in your life, so your problems, your concerns, your stresses, and I want you to see if you can make space between you and then all of these things that are plaguing you, and then start to envision your stresses, your concerns, your problems as though they're books and you're stacking them on a table in front of you. So the idea is we're trying to clear a space. So feel yourself in your chair, your feet on the ground, and just feel yourself in this time and space. And then start to envision your problems, concerns, stresses like books on a table, but don't go into any one of them.
Mhm.
And then ask yourself, what is between me and feeling fine, but don't answer intellectually. Let your body do the answering without going into anything deeply. And as you envision stacking your books, let me know when you can feel as though you can say, but for these issues and problems, I'm okay.
Okay, I'm okay.
Okay. All right. So, is there one problem you'd like to look at right now? And you can tell me what it is, or you can just keep that private. It's totally your choice.
The anger.
Okay. What do you sense in your body when you recall the whole of that anger?
Like a tension in my chest.
Okay. Yeah, and just let yourself be with that tension in your chest for a moment. And if you need to, invite more space. And I'm going to write down what you say so I can recall it. Yeah, invite more space around that sensation without trying to change it.
So focus on it.
Yeah, just focus on it, but if you need to, like if the tension in your chest is starting to feel overwhelming, feel free to invite more space around it just to put a little distance between you and this anger. Okay. Now, what would you say is the general sense about this anger?
What do you mean by general sense?
So the anger is related to what? Like when you feel the anger, what else comes to you?
Oh, loss of control and fear.
Yeah. And then when you think about the loss of control and fear, or as you feel it, I should say, what is the quality of that felt sense? Like, how would you describe it in your body? So, how would you describe this tension in your chest?
It's interesting that the my chest is tense and then my stomach feels empty. It's like they're being pulled or something
Mm, like being pulled apart or being pulled together?
apart.
Like from a 0 to 10, 0 being no distress and 10 being the most. How distressing would you say this pull apart sensation between your chest and your stomach is?
A 4.
Yeah, see if you can move to the edges of that sensation and sort of soften it. And if you can do that, what feeling comes with that softening?
Comforts and safety, like stability.
Hmm, where are you feeling that in your body?
More on the outsides of my like rib cage as opposed to the center of my chest or my stomach. So it's not like the softening is like on the edge, not inside of the core.
Okay.
Like the tension's still there in the center of my chest, but I feel like a softening on the outsides.
Oh, okay. Like a reverse brownie.
Mm.
What one word, phrase, or image comes out of this felt sense? So, as you describe it, is there like an Instagram handle? What one word, phrase, or image would come out of that felt sense?
Let go, it's okay.
Okay, so now what I want you to do is toggle back and forth between that phrase, let go, it's okay, and the felt sense of that pulling between your stomach and your chest, that tension to softness. And just notice if let go, it's okay fits. So just toggle back and forth and see if it fits. Does it match?
I think so.
Okay. So notice the sensation of matching several times.
Yeah, it's like when I breathe in, that's the chest tension. When I exhale, that's the empty stomach, which I
Mm,
guess makes sense in a physical space too, but it's like there's an emotional tether.
yeah. All right. So just notice the sensation of matching several times. And should the felt sense change, just follow that with your attention. And should you notice anything change, feel free to tell me.
Yeah, my chest feels less tense. The empty part, I'm not sure. I haven't eaten anything either, so that might be part of that sense. So it might be in part biological, but
Mm.
my chest definitely feels softer.
Yeah. Okay. So just sit with that for a moment. Just noticing that sensation of match between let's go, it's okay, and then the sensations. What is it about the whole of the problem that makes it okay to let go?
Um, Feeling free is okay. Is what just came to mind.
Oh. What would it feel like if all was okay? And just let the body answer that.
I think that question evoked the tension in my chest again.
So if all was okay feels tense,
Yeah.
what do you think it is about the whole of that that makes you so tense?
How do I prepare, anticipate
Oh.
if all is okay?
Ah, okay,
Is
so the
the
tension
fear?
kinda keeps you on alert.
Mm.
What do you think this tension needs?
Love and hugs.
What should happen with regards to the whole of the problem?
Reassurance and confidence.
Hmm. So as you sit with that idea of reassurance and confidence, just notice if any part of your body starts to activate. Yeah, just see if you can wait for the feeling to shift in your body to give you an answer.
Yeah, it's like a softening, but I also see like a light, like a half open door, and the light's kind of casting onto the wood on the floor.
What
If
is
that
your
makes
sense
sense.
about the light and the half open door?
It's like I need to go there,
Mm.
but I don't like yeah, like I need permission or something.
Well, follow that with your attention with your body and see what comes up for you.
It's like a calmness, a joy, a peace, but the it's like my body is still tense.
Ah, so the calmness and peace is coexisting with the tense body?
I think so. It's like I'm not fully able to trust it.
Mm. What's the worst of that feeling of not being able to fully trust? What is it you can't fully trust? The light or the peace and calm?
I guess the light, the peace and calm that's like on the ground is just a part of it that I
Mm.
can notice and be with, but to like fully walk through the door, that's all the light, and I don't know. All I can see is the light. I don't know what else is in there, even though it's positive.
Oh, okay. So answer this question with your body. What would you need to know ahead of time to be able to get up and walk through that door?
That my grandmother's in there.
Mm. Where did your body feel that love of your grandmother?
In my chest and shoulders.
Mm. So, like, what do you think the relationship is then between the anger that we started with and then the love of your grandmother? And see if your body can answer that question too.
What's the relationship, or what was
It
the
might even be
question?
like an inverse relationship, but like how does the anger and the grandmother's love relate to each other?
Mm, that's the yeah, I think that's the main relationship that was able to calm it or, um,
Mm.
understand me beyond that.
So if your chest and shoulders could talk to your chest and stomach, what would it say?
You deserve to feel safe and loved.
Mm. Yeah. How does that make your body feel when you say that out loud?
Still tense.
What do you make of that?
That there's an incongruence between my mind, my body, and my emotional experience about this.
Mm. So
My
if there was
body
like,
can't trust it, I guess, is like a
um,
even though I believe it, my body doesn't.
so then go back to that Instagram handle we came up with, or you came up with, let go, it's okay. Do you think that there's a new quality about this felt sense, a new handle, a new one word phrase or image that's coming out of this secondary felt sense in your chest and shoulders?
With the grandmother's love or
Yeah, with
with
the grandmother's love.
the
Yeah.
incongruence?
Oh, or the incongruence, or both.
The grandmother's love handle, yeah, I think it would just be, "You are loved."
Ah, you are loved.
The body not trusting handle would be, mm, "It takes time."
Mm. All right, so just sit for a moment with all three of these handles as they relate to their corresponding body sensations. Let go, it's okay. You are loved, and it takes time. And just kind of go back and forth and see if they all three match to their corresponding body sensations. And if the felt sense changes, just follow that with your attention. But if it does match, just kind of sit and just notice the matching.
Yeah, it feels softer.
Feel softer. All right. Well, is there a time you can come back and visit these three felt senses? Maybe make a commitment to revisit them?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I think they could be informing, perhaps. Yeah.
To
So
my
welcome what
body
came.
response.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome what came and be glad it spoke. This is only just one step of the problem, not the last. Yeah, and you can invite this felt sense to join the other problems you started with on the table, just knowing that you can come back to them at any time. What state would you say your body's in now? We kind of started in fight or flight, so how do you feel now?
I say green.
Yeah. Well, you did a good job. This is your first focusing session. And that's the whole point, is to go from an activated state to a more relaxed state. Yeah. Do you feel your feet on the ground? Are you feeling a little loopy?
Yeah, I think I took a nap. Did we just do a hypnosis session?
It does feel like that, yeah. Because your body down regulates to like, I think I'm hoping I'm using that word correctly, but it relaxes back into more of a ventral vagal state. So two things come out of focusing: the shift from activation to being regulated, and then secondly, developing a tolerance for the paradox, right? Of being activated, feeling that chest sensation of activation and anger, while at the same time feeling the relaxation associated with being attached, in your case, to
Mm,
your grandmother. And so that's what's so helpful, is ultimately for trauma focused therapy, is to help people develop a tolerance for the paradox.
right, because if there's no tolerance for paradox, then that yellow or orange is just like a cell that you're
Yeah,
in. Like
it
there's no
is.
hallway to the other yellow or the green zone.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
that's the fascinating part about psychology and development is that in spite of all the development I've done compared to a lot of people, it doesn't absolve me of nervous system activation. Like
Yeah, and it never will, because like,
there's no
if I'm
possible way
understanding you
to.
correctly, yeah, because our nervous system is designed to activate, but I think we want to move from being reactionary to responsive. But not to get totally into your business, I can understand now why the accounting situation pisses you off so deeply, is because, as you just said, you don't feel safe with this woman.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, all the efforts I put into running successful practice outside of like being a successful therapist in the room, right? It's a whole separate job. And then for those big financial issues to happen
Mhm.
and not of my my fault because I did follow up and check in. um that like has not really, but it feels like a livelihood threat, which is ultimately I'm privileged. I could go live with my parents if
Mhm.
push came to shove, right? Not a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah.
um and they would take me in, but so it's not in realistically it's not like I'm gonna be destitute. um but it feels that way.
Yeah, it feels that way. I and it's funny how money, all the lessons we've ever learned about money and security, just run so deeply
Yep.
in the attachments that we have, yeah, to that. But now I understand when you were saying at the beginning of this, if you were a family of 4, having to absorb that $10,000 loss would be a huge, not to be crass, but it'd be a huge kick in the nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, more so than as a single person with no dependents.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now I can totally understand, I think even more experientially, why you don't feel safe with her. Not that you need my permission, but you might definitely need to move on and find a different
Oh, I
accountant.
yeah. It's unfortunate because like the last two people I've gotten have been from referrals. It's not just been me willy nilly online. Um,
Yeah.
so ultimately, I do think I'm about to just take over my own bookkeeping, because I originally I did pay for it because I needed the stuff reconciled from like a year prior where my books were kind of messed up with personal and business.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, now it's completely separate. Everything's been refined, so I don't need to be paying somebody
Mhm.
400 a month to send me a profit and loss and reconcile my credit cards.
No. No.
So
No. So what did you think of this, exercise, this focusing?
it's good. It reminded me of I used to do a lot of hypnosis as a kid,
Mhm.
and I remember the guy would always say that I was like there were some people that were more amenable to it than others,
Mhm.
and that I was one of like the best people that like I could receive it somehow.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't like I would like fall into that state quickly. Whereas for some, I guess like they don't even fall into it all. But I was just kind of innately attuned to it in that process. So it
Mhm.
kind of reminded me of that. Like, yeah, because I'm a visual learner and I do visualize like I don't know if that's normal or not because I only have my consciousness to compare it to. But like when I talk about things or I hear things or I feel something, I see stuff.
In your mind's eye?
Yeah, like I can see, like when I'm thinking about the door and the light casting on the floor and all that, like
Yeah.
I don't know if that's normal, but that's something that like just kind of happens. Uh,
Yeah, if we ever did this again, I would send you the body card, and the body card is what people use at the end of this focusing session to jot down their thoughts, their feelings, their memories, and their body sensations. And then it has like just like a little cartoon image of a body, and then you would draw what activated for you. You'd write your ANS journey, from being going to fight or flight to more ventral. You would write down all three of these handles,
Autonomic
because
nervous system.
yeah, autonomic nervous system, because it's like a journal and you can refer back to it. So I've done 15 focusing sessions while I've gone through this training. I really recommend this training. It's very good,
Mm.
through Jan Winhall. But yeah, so like I'm not a very good artist, but like this is the body card. And then I just write down all that's been activated for me. And it's very interesting, but like through the focusing journey that I have done, I have had this sensation in my back, I would say for decades. I've even gone so far as to like, especially when I was in my late 20s, living in Phoenix, I would go to get massage therapy and I'd be like, you've got to get these trigger points out of my shoulder blades. And, it worked. I mean, it was like, but then it would always come back. It would always come back. And so this focusing exercise cured in two different sessions, the left and the right sensation under my shoulder blades, in the sense that like I envisioned them as river rocks, and then the river rocks just kind of melted away. But I also developed the insight that I have a fear of being unprepared, and that's what's been living in my shoulder blades for all these decades. And so after this focusing session that I did, I have not had the sensation. So I was like 3 months ago. Yeah, it's been
Wow.
completely gone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, January.
Yeah, it's interesting how the body, like
Well,
the
the body holds
body
the
holds,
knowledge,
right.
you know?
It's like
So
it,
this
it
is the
kind of
one.
holds the trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, river stone of tension under right shoulder blade. Oh, yeah, and that brought me back to memories of panic attacks in college, memories of trigger point under shoulder blade. Yeah, I would have these horrible panic attacks in college.
Yeah, I think it's part of what I was venturing into is like a grief because that like, like there's a difference there. Home can be a place or a person. And
Mhm.
like my grandmother was home. So after she died, it's like I'm homesick or like I'm homeless. Like there's nowhere to go that like feels like that.
Mhm.
And obviously I would love to be able to cultivate that within myself or within my own world, but I'm like not able to. There's a block there, I think. And maybe that's just in part unavoidable because it's grief, but
Yeah, I think then, when you feel these body sensations activating, you can then ask, like, what's here? And is it related to what you just talked about? That grief of your grandmother, the desire to be loved, needing reassurance, needing confidence. So then, like, if I ever were to feel that sensation in my shoulder blade, for example, I'd ask myself, okay, what am I fearing I am unprepared about?
mhm. Well,
And
I
then
think
that can
that
eliminate.
I think as we're talking, the only time I've been able to feel like a completely unguarded, uh, receiving of love was from her.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. Well, she's deceased?
Yeah, she's been dead for 10 years.
She sounds like she was a wonderful woman.
Yeah, at least the version I saw. I got the grandma, but my dad says she was similar throughout life. It wasn't like
Yeah.
I'm sorry to my kids, but gonna show it through my grandkids.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I got lost in my own thought of grief just as you were talking. I noticed how quick I need to work on that. I'm getting, like, a little dissociative
yeah.
myself.
I have that effect on people.
I No, no, I mean, it's so funny that no, it happened lately too, recently, like, this client came in and she was relating this situation with a family member and, like, I mean, I was appropriate. I'm not saying I started, like, raging on her behalf, but
Mm,
I felt myself get, like, real angry for her in a way that I don't think I've felt in a long time.
yeah. Yeah, I have to check that with couples or
Mhm.
not couples. It kind of reminds me of couples, but if I have like a client that is sharing about some kind of like relational dynamic with their spouse or their romantic partner that I can relate to. Like I get into this kind of like defensive posturing in my body. I can feel like this like oh, I need to demystify this and like it's like an added layer of responsibility or something.
Yeah, well, definitely. Like, what does that indicate? I guess you and I both, these are growth points for you and I, and
It's like I'm
shit.
trying to warn them or something. I'm like
Yeah.
like, "No. Do not allow
Danger.
that. Do not allow that." Yeah.
I think that's what I felt with this client and her family member
Mm.
because the family member sent sexualized content to her via text message. And I was just like, I just felt this anger, like this
Yeah.
violated
You wanna
type of
protect.
anger. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Protect her, but also like a what the fuck, family members are, if you're supposed to feel safe with your family, and if you can't feel safe with your family, then who the fuck can you feel safe with kind of thing.
Yep.
Like if your own family member doesn't have your back, then what hope is there? It's like that cynical part of me comes online.
Yeah. I went back into therapy recently and same therapist I've had on and off for a couple years. And it's so funny where like I have ideas of what I think the therapy is gonna be about. And I'm usually, obviously like thematically maybe I'm on par, but ultimately it usually comes down to my own sense of like emotional safety, my reactivity to my nervous system and others' nervous systems,
Mhm.
and how I unintentionally stir the bottom of the lake to where like the mud rises and the
Yeah.
clarity goes absolves. Like it's it's self-deception. Like I can't spot that on my own. I can write about it, I can talk about it, but until someone's like peeking in, there's no way to fully see like how my adaptations are like creating patterns. And
Mhm.
they're usually probably just like my inability to only take responsibility for my own nervous system, um, to and then to maintain boundaries and limits on myself and others. That's like that's it. That's what it
Yeah.
always boils down to.
Yeah, I'll never forget that woman who was raging at you at the, substance use treatment center.
I may have forgotten her. Who's that?
Yeah, you probably blocked it out. She was the one. I don't know,
A
who knows?
client?
Yeah, 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 client, yeah.
Okay. Because I was about to say it. As a director, I mean, that happened a couple times a week.
It happened daily. No, I'm just teasing. Not daily, but yeah, I would just always think about that, and I'm like, what got triggered in her? Like, because it's like every interaction with another human being is somewhat, it's all projection, right? Like we all hold up mirrors. I was like, what was Evan inadvertently, of
Mm.
course, holding up that she saw about herself that she had to rage at him?
Well, we've
And
talked about this, that there is something within me that
yeah,
does that more than others.
but it was, but you didn't do anything wrong. It was, you were
I
completely
rarely do in
professional.
those moments. I'm just like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "Whoa."
Yeah. Who knows? It could be anything.
I think that, like, some of it is that people, like, kind of trust that they can lash out at me. Like, I'm not gonna headbutt them.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's part of it.
Oh, that woman definitely felt safe to act
Right.
that way.
That's as far as I've gotten. I'm open to feedback, but,
I don't know. I've been wondering about this
um,
for years now.
yeah, it's like it's just my face. They just wanna punch it.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you saw some of that firsthand.
Mhm.
It's nice to not have to navigate a bunch of unwell clients in inpatient treatment today.
I can't do it anymore. My nervous system can't do it. I saw an advertisement for a job, like, because, every once in a while I think about, oh, maybe I'll go back and get a W-2 job. And I saw one for some type of like clinical supervisor type role
Mhm.
for an intensive outpatient program. And I was like, nope, I can't do it. I can't do the chaos. I can't, the likelihood of anything being orderly and routine and regimented and is not going to happen. It's not going to be that way.
Yeah, it's obviously the clients are the clients, but it's staff and then the C-suite people. They've gotta be well, and that's very unlikely.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I've
No.
I've I've been, trying up that startup again with the revenue recovery to
Hmm.
then justify ROI to owners to implement, like, a actual clinical model. Um, and I've just been engaged in LinkedIn more, and it's just reminded me of how many people are fucking full of shit in that industry. Um, there's a couple of owners that they fucking film themselves every day
They
talking
film
about
themselves?
yes, um, just talking about, like, their anecdotal perspective of addiction and recovery, like, every fucking day, and they got, like, weird porcelain teeth. I'm like, "This dude fucking he's probably raping 16-year-olds. Fucking creep."
Oh,
Just,
God.
like just so much inauthenticity. It's like, "Dude, shut the fuck up, man." Just bullshit.
Yeah. So,
Like, I'm
like,
not gonna say NPD, but definitely, like, more exaggerated narcissism character traits in a lot of these operators. Um, because a lot of them had money already. Like, they're like, "Oh, I'm just a helper."
yeah.
Very interesting archetype.
I mean, do you think that goes back to that idea that sometimes people in leadership positions at these substance use treatment center use that leadership position or that business position as a substitute for doing their own recovery work?
That too, and
Yeah.
and they want to be, like, adored. They wanna be the man, that they wanna be it's like they're the drug dealer. Everybody
Oh,
wants to be like, wanna be around them, they're needed, they have all the power, but they're just, like, so out of their scope. right?
Mhm. Yeah, I guess that's the caution, right? Like, if you're looking for a substance use treatment center or a mental health, intensive outpatient program, that's what you have to look at. How would anybody judge, though, as a consumer, the
Well,
mental
you can't
health,
use
the
the website
wellness?
as a vetting because a lot of their budget goes into marketing.
Well, that's unfortunate.
And you can't use the call center guy that talks to you either
Oh my
because
god, no, they're just salesmen.
right, they're just filling beds. So, I mean, really, I think the only way that you can confidently refer your child or spouse or friend to addiction treatment or I mean, anything like residential eating disorder clinic or like anything where it's like high acuity mental health facility,
Mm,
you have to do some digging and like, I don't know, look at reviews. Obviously, reviews are a little skewed because people are at their most unwell state. So, like, again, that client that was screaming at me, I did nothing and they probably think I'm a monster.
yeah,
Um, but like being able to connect with alumni, I would say, like people that like
okay.
have actual recovery from whatever brought them to that place and they have some time away so that it's not right after the treatment episode.
Mhm,
That's probably where you get the most accurate information.
mm,
But I don't really know how to mine that.
yeah,
And
that's
that's what I would love to pose, but I have to befriend these archetypes that I'm speaking about because that's my target. They're gonna have the most leaked revenue. Um, but the question I want to pose them is, would you send your daughter to your center and I ship you off to Europe without an ability to contact the center while they're there? And no one knows they're your daughter. Would you send her to your center?
mhm, yeah. I thought yeah,
I
I think
believe it would be a
people built their
resounding
business
no.
answering that question. Yeah, but I
I
think I
don't think most
remember.
owners would send it. They would find somewhere else that was like probably private and whatever.
I think people need to start maybe even vetting through, an interventionist, like, if they can connect to someone who's a trained interventionist, they might have more behind the scenes knowledge as to what's going on at certain treatment facilities.
Mhm.
Because
Or
I do
me.
recall, like,
Hopefully, if I get a little
interacting with
busier.
those folks. Say again, I'm sorry?
Or I was saying if I get busier in the space, me.
Yeah, I think you should. I mean, I think you would
Mhm.
have a lot of insight to share as to how people can properly vet.
Yeah.
I mean, because I remember interacting with one woman who was a family interventionist, um, for families that are, had either like a family member who was addicted to something, or maybe they were just all estranged or something like that. But she was telling me about kind of I guess the salesman bamboozle that she unfortunately fell victim to when recommending her client to the treatment center you and I were working at. And I was like, "Yeah, no, we don't have that service, and we don't have that service, and no, it's chaos here." And like, it was just unfortunate to have to pop their bubble.
Yeah, we didn't have an infinity pool at the housing.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no infinity pool or equestrian horse rides,
Dirt
and
dirt bike track around the building.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like very hard space to infiltrate, but I'm on the horn. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna reform one of these centers. I'm determined.
Good.
What do you got going on rest of the day?
I got a client. I have a session at 1, so I better skedaddle and go get something to eat.
Nice.
Yeah,
Glad we chatted. It's been a bit.
it has been a bit. Well, thank you for being my guinea pig for the focusing. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you should check out the episode with Rihanna that I did as the guest. Pretty interesting stuff.
Is she the one I saw the clip about, I guess, like, her understanding of Nigeria or something like that? Was that
Oh,
it?
Tom's shoes.
Yeah,
You
the
remember
Tom
those?
shoes. Yeah. I didn't see the whole I didn't have listened to the whole thing yet, but I
Well,
will.
she worked in community mental health and like she was capable to working with people that had a history of sexually assaulting others.
Mm,
And so then like everyone just started to kind of refer them to her because she could like sit with that and like actually treat it instead of being a fucking moron and having all her biases activated. Um, being a therapist, and I clipped it, and there's a lot out there. Not as much outrage as I thought, but it was just like it was so profound, like the reenactment that was occurring in the comment threads on TikTok, where it's like just the shame moral lens. And I'm like, this is the reason why not everyone should be a therapist. Like,
What were some of the comments?
oh, you want me to read some?
Yeah.
So let me pull it up real quick. Here, I'll play the.
This is like kind of a hot take, but I worked as sex offender for a long time. I got kind of like pushed into it. It's a long story. I had to do that for my second year internship, and I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. And so I became this unofficial sex offender specialist at every clinic I worked at because nobody would want to work with them because they're dirty, right? It was the same thing. We're like, man, they had served time, they had been on probation, they had done multiple polygraphs. They had all done significantly more extensive therapy than you or I or like anything I've ever seen. I mean, it is like, it's so invasive how much shit they have to do. And like every single sex offender I've ever worked with is like, this was good for me. I'm glad that I had to go through this therapy. I wouldn't have had access to this level of care without this offense, which is upsetting. I'm glad I did it. I'm a better person for it. I really feel like it helped me. This is like kind of a hot take, but I work as sex offender for a long.
And obviously, that's just like a clip. There's more to it, but
Yeah.
but I think we were talking about like, and again, there's a context to it as well. Like I think when anyone hears sex offender, they think, oh, this guy raped 10 children in a house. There's a continuum of that of what it means to be categorized as that, and that in certain programs they've been treated exponentially more than anyone else, and then it's kind of like where is there like a new level of like actually integrating them back into society? Like where's the line drawn, and how do you do that?
No. Is there any research on that? I don't
I don't
know.
know. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's interesting. I
yeah,
had a
I'll
coworker who
read
did that.
the here. There's the ones that they fold the comments. One said, "Send them all to the sun." Dead men don't reoffend. Does she realize offenders manipulate? Like, yeah, obviously. Worked at sorts in Missouri for years. They are all scum. They will tell you they've improved, but they will be out assaulting kids again within a year. This lady has suicidal empathy. Anyone who has sexually assaulted a child is beyond rehabilitation. They're going to abuse the first chance they get. The problem of not immediately giving them the axe. They claim therapy worked and they reoffend. I worked with sexual offenders at the state level and hated it. They abused the system 100% and whined about having to be watched. Yeah.
It's a very nuanced topic for sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Whenever I'll like post stuff and it gets more engagement, you get like a sample of our culture. Because there was a lot of like actual like impressive engagement, like being able to contextualize and like have a conversation that like, hey, like, yeah, we're missing the fucking boat on treating people like this, or like fucking school shooters, or like there's something fucking wrong in our society that is breeding these things. And to answer that question of what cultivates it, it's way more complex. But like to sit here and say we shouldn't treat these
Mhm.
people and just like kill them, it's pretty fucking crazy. And there's so much to
Yeah.
learn about like investigating and having therapy with some kind of offender. There's a lot to fucking learn.
Like what?
Like what like the history is, what are the patterns, what are the activators, what happened? Is there a way to rehabilitate, or like is there a continuum? Of course, and like any, that would be with mental health too. Like you can't rehabilitate schizophrenia. You can rehabilitate depression. And so within any kind of offender population, there's people that can't rehabilitate, but there's
Well, I mean, I
also
feel
people
like
that
anything, it's the
can.
motivation to change, right? Like, where's the
Correct.
motivation to change?
But when we
Where
just
where are they?
categorize it as this is a sex offender and that means this.
Yeah, I think it just depends upon the individual, right? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of the people who engage in child pornography all started off with adult pornography, and they
Right.
needed more and more like specialized content to get that dopamine hit that
Stimulation.
led them I mean, it is a slippery slope, and then it led them to child porn, and then that's when they get caught with it.
Yep.
Um, but, is that rehabilitatable? I don't know. I don't know what the research is. Like, if your brain is so hardwired to need that type of dopamine,
I would say if we can
can you rewire it?
rehabilitate
I
shooting
mean,
heroin, we can rehabilitate that.
broadly speaking, I mean, there's still neuroplasticity. You would think that the person could be rehabilitated, but ultimately it's all about what is their motivation to change. I mean, do they think it's wrong?
Right.
Do they
But I
perceive
think
themselves as having offended?
if we can rehabilitate like someone smoking crack, we can stimulate the stimulation of that.
I guess it just depends. Like for me, it depends upon what it's being used for. Like for like coke, smoking, like drugs and alcohol, I would argue is a trauma response. Like somebody is stuck in a trauma feedback loop, and they use alcohol and drugs to facilitate state change, to
Mhm.
facilitate a movement out of the fixate fawn freeze, to get back, trying to get more into a regulated state. But of course, the drug only keeps them looping into a dissociation, and then activated to get fixated on the drug again, back to a dissociation. They just kind of toggle back and forth. So I would imagine, maybe child pornography would be the same thing, right? Like it would be used as a drug like that. But where he still goes back to the question, what is the motivation to change? Like, and if there is no motivation to change, then there is no rehabilitation that can occur, because the locus of control ultimately has to be within the offender.
Yeah, and that's why we as therapists, not just you and I, but like collectively, um, that's our job, is to look at the nuance and to check our biases at the door and to not think categorically or hyperbolic about topics that are charged in the social schema, right? Like that's what we sign up for when we treat
Mhm.
people.
Yeah, and I think people just need to know their limitations, because that's where the damage,
Yeah.
right, comes from, is when people therapists don't know their limitations, don't know that they are uneducated, are stuck in that, you know, what is it, like the Dunning-Kruger effect. And yeah,
Dunning-Kruger. Fuck is that?
Dunning-Kruger, the I'll let you Google it, the cognitive bias of not knowing what you don't know.
Oh, like cognitive dissonance kind of?
No, cognitive dissonance is where you're presented with information that doesn't jive with what
That
you
refute.
already know to be true. And so it's like, does not compute, does not compute, does not compute. But a Dunning-Kruger effect is that people don't know how stupid they really are, or they don't know how uneducated they really are.
Yeah.
So they go into situations with an overconfidence about their
Yeah.
skill set. But if a therapist can always err on the side of caution of, oh, I need to keep learning, I need to be better, I need to advance my skill set, then that person is kind of like mitigating any sort of damage that he or she could do to a client.
Yeah, I think it's on an individual level based on like how I view my space in the world and what's the point is. Whereas like I try to challenge myself and grow, and if I'm uncomfortable, that means I need to kind of observe that as opposed to just like shut myself off with some like crazy statement about an entire population of people.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would hope people, have more thought before they speak, but I would, as a woman, I would not put a graduate school level clinician, someone who's just came out of graduate school, in with a sex offending population.
Mm-mm.
That doesn't make any sense at all. So for her to say that she did that like as an early grad student makes me wonder, like, what the fuck was really going on? Was this like such an understaffed agency that they just kind of threw her in
Probably.
the fire, or because
Well, and you
you
know what I
I mean, like, but those people who are commenting are not wrong. That population will manipulate the fuck out of you.
yeah. Yeah. Well,
And if
I
you
think you get thrown into a system, and that's what happened to me in grad school. Like my internship, I was more qualified than the on-site supervisor. She was just certified. She didn't even have a license.
yeah, see, that's a limitation of community mental health right
Yeah.
there. I mean, you cannot sex offender treatment is a highly specialized form
Yeah.
of care. That's not for your recent grad to be doing.
But it just shows how inept the other parts of that system were with their own inability to like process and look at nuance and regulate their own nervous systems in those dialogues.
I mean, but therein lies like I'm like 30 years too late, but I'm entering my feminist rage era. And I feel really upset for that lady that you just interviewed, that she was put in that position so young
Yeah.
in her career. And the reason is because I think about having worked in the jail, and I was able to successfully do that because I had been in the field already for 6 years. I'd already had
Yeah.
an excellent community mental health internship in Arizona that really prepared me for, a population of people who might be, construed as poverty stricken, right? And then that parlayed into understanding how to operate through a jail because unfortunately, the majority of the people who are incarcerated come from poverty stricken situations. Well, I shouldn't say majority. That sounds like I can quantify that, but I think it's easy to understand that impoverished neighborhoods might be over policed, right? And so, anywho, but there was, as I was leaving, I realized, my time here is limited, and I was thinking about my next move. And so we hired a woman who took over for a coworker of mine who quit. And she was brand new to the field, like straight out of graduate school, had never worked with an offending population at all in any capacity. And nor had she ever worked with mentally ill people, like people who are in not even a prodromal stage of mental illness, but in an active psychotic state. And at
Hmm.
this time, the sheriff here in Mecklenburg County wanted to have more um, rehabilitation for mentally ill folk. And I think that's great. I'm not knocking his intentions, but the way that the company that had the contract did it was wrong. And they put her in a pod with actively psychotic people, and then, who had not responded to medication yet. They were not stabilized, and she was put in a very dangerous situation. He came out and he came after her and he tried to attack her. And I think he actually made contact. Luckily, she was able to get away. And I think maybe the pod officer was able to intervene, but she got fired because when they reviewed the tapes, and by they, I mean the staff at the jail as well as
Oh
the
boy.
medical company reviewed the tapes, they saw a look of terror on her face, and she got fired for being afraid.
Huh. Yeah.
As though your nervous system is not supposed to be afraid when a
Someone's trying to
man,
attack you.
a
Yeah.
violent man, is trying to attack a woman. And this woman was petite. She was not like
Mhm.
6 foot
Yeah, I mean,
former
I would
pro
be scared.
wrestler. I would
Yeah.
shit my pants too. And she was put in a no-win situation. This man was not stabilized yet, and he was allowed to be out and about as though he was in a state to be quote unquote rehabilitated. That's
Yeah, none of that's
bullshit.
surprising to me.
It's not surprising, but at the same time,
Yeah.
like, I can understand the comments coming from your TikTok.
Well,
Like, I think we
also
all
you
have
gotta
these horrible experiences in community mental health.
but recall, I think what happens, and this happened to me is it's not said, but I think it's intuitively kind of understood. When I entered even like my practicum, it's going to sound egotistical, but I was different than my cohort in a lot of ways,
Okay,
right?
I'm gonna
Like,
listen. I'm just gonna check my calendar, make sure I'm
but like
got enough time.
my temperament, my reflective ability in the here and now with people, it was different than my peers in my cohort. Not all of them, but 80%, let's say. That's conservative too. I just was surrounded by a lot of people that shouldn't be counselors. So like
Okay,
when
now
you
see,
get into
that
these
pisses me off
settings,
too. That also
yeah,
triggers my feminist rage because your program was just trying to fill bodies, like very much like these substance use treatment centers, right? Like they're just trying to fill seats,
mhm.
get the tuition money, and they
But
were
like when
doing
they
all those folks a terrible service.
but then that happens at the site too. Like when I worked at I was the guy at the jail or in that rural treatment center. I entered there a rock star, very undertrained, but compared to the people that were there, I was exceptional.
That's shocking.
I mean, I was in Lexington, North Carolina.
But it got to that place, that point also. I mean, this is so disgusting to even say, but like when you and I were working at that treatment center and we were trying to hire for group therapists or group facilitators, which is not even a group therapist, but a group facilitator.
No, we changed it to group therapists. Remember, they were
Oh, we
licensed.
did. Yeah. But I remember thinking, God, if we can just get somebody who doesn't rape our clients, then we're ahead of the
Yeah,
game. I
yeah.
mean, that's just how disgusting and
Mm-hmm.
ineffectual community mental health can really be. It's filled with people who, well, yes and no. It attracts offenders and it also attracts do-gooders, but both of which may not have the actual skill set, the je ne sais quoi, the the ability to blend the art and the science to be effectual counselors. And that goes back to the Dunning-Kruger effect. If
But you
you
remember
don't
that?
know
Go ahead.
what you don't know or don't have the capacity to contemplate what you possibly could not know, then you're doing damage.
When we ran that internship program, it's case in point where we had some practicum counselors, and then we had some second year like intern counselors. Some of the best ones we had were practicum.
Yeah.
So that's not based on experience. That's based on something else.
Well, I think it's aptitude, right? Not everybody can just be a counselor. There
Mhm.
is something indelible that you have to have
It's not
that
just
makes
training.
you a good counselor. It's like being an excellent musician. Yeah, I could sit with a piano instructor for 8 hours a day.
Mhm.
I will never become a, a concert pianist. Never.
Yeah.
I might be technically proficient, but I will never have the
Yeah, those people
artistry,
they had
the
something in them
musicianship.
at like 3 years old. They were doing
Yes.
weird stuff
Yeah.
at 3
It's
years
an
old.
innate
Yeah.
talent. And you can see it like when you watch YouTube videos of concert pianists, and it's like they become the music. There is an entrainment that you can't describe with words, or at least I can't. My lack of English,
Yeah. What's
prohibits me
interesting
from
too
explaining.
is I've been networking more with private practice therapists, and that kind of that innate essence, I can pick up on it within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like it's like are they just trained with the book, or is there some kind of special essence about them that I can envision them being in that room? Like I feel it. A lot of people don't have it.
Mm-mm. No. No, they don't. And I wish, I think that's what happened, like 20, 25 years ago with the for-profit industry, for-profit higher education industry. They just started offering up degrees, and whoever could afford to pay was just put
Yeah.
through the pipeline. And there really wasn't enough proper vetting for our profession,
Well, it's like as
which
long as you
is,
have a decent GPA and you test okay, that's good enough. I don't think that's good enough.
no, I don't